They showed MVP and Bobby Lashley talking to Ron Simmons in the back. Shocking. He was there and they never once had him say the word damn on TV. I mean, he had become so one-dimensional over the years, I forgot he actually has a vocabulary beyond that one word. But there he was in the back having a conversation, and about what we couldn't tell exactly. We picked up little pieces of it, but Simmons told them there's a better way to go about things. And then they fist bumped, and Simmons walked off. They are now calling MVP and Lashley the Hurt Business. That's the new name of their little faction, the Hurt Business. I don't know if that's better or worse than the Beatdown Clan from their TNA days. Now, according to The Observer, they flew both Ron Simmons in and Mark Henry into the tapings last week. And Mark Henry did not appear on the show, but apparently he was there for the start of an angle to reform, kind of a new age version, I guess, of the Nation of Domination. And again, not necessarily with those guys as part of it, but I guess to do some kind of a kickoff for it using the two or two of the old members, you know, Simmons being the founding father of the original nation. Now, if the group was some kind of combination of Simmons, maybe as like a manager type, MVP, Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin, who won the 24/7 title from R-Truth on this show and then subsequently aligned himself with MVP and Lashley. If that's the plan with those guys, then there's no sense in doing it. First of all, we don't need a new nation. Let's just get this straight first. We don't need a new Nation of Domination. I don't know if that's just Meltzer speculating because Simmons was there, or if they really did have a firm plan to reform the nation, but we don't need a Nation 2.0. Does anybody else find it odd? I'm sure I'm not the only one who was thinking this as I'm watching the show on Monday night. You find it odd that they always seem to group all of the black wrestlers together the way that they do on these shows. In those two segments on Monday night, the backstage one and then the match that followed, in those two segments on Monday night, we had MVP, Lashley, R-Truth, Shelton Benjamin, Ricochet, Cedric Alexander. I'm not even counting Simmons. And then we had Ali, Mustafa Ali, who's back, and who's not black. He's back, but he's not black. But he was only there in place of Apollo Crews. Why do they do this? Why do they do this? Why do they feel the need to just group them all together like that? What a strange company this is. What a very, very strange company. A new nation is a dumb idea. Especially, it's like, let's put them all together and make them a heel faction. Oh yeah, that's what a great idea that would be right now. Let's put them all together, we'll make them the bad guys. We'll make them the heels. It is a stupid idea. Just let MVP have his own group. You don't need nation branding. You don't need Ron Simmons' endorsement or Mark Henry's endorsement. You don't got to put the fist in the air. Let him have his own group. But I was thinking like, okay, let's take the other end of the coin. What if Meltzer is right? What if there really was a plan, or maybe there still is? Maybe they're doing the slow burn. What if there is a plan for something of a new nation? If you just have MVP, Lashley, and Benjamin, and maybe Simmons in a role of some kind, it doesn't work. It doesn't work unless they have a couple of young faces. Ron Simmons is retired. MVP was retired. He thought he was retired. He was ready to be an agent, and then WWE decided that they wanted him back on TV, and they wanted him in the ring wrestling again. And now MVP says they're in negotiations for a long-term deal. And he says, I've got about 2 or 3 more years of bumps left on my body. You got 2 older guys like that. Lashley is closer to the end of his career than he is the beginning of it. Bobby Lashley's 44 years old. Shelton Benjamin is 45. He doesn't look it, but he's 45 years old. The Nation of Domination had youth with Rocky and D'Lo and Mark Henry, who was still new to the business at the time. He had only been wrestling maybe not even a year when he joined the Nation, a year or 2. Now, I still think we see Cedric Alexander do the turn. Or maybe it's him and Ricochet both. Maybe both of them turn and they link up with MVP and Lashley. Ricochet's biggest weakness is his promos. Nobody is doubting the athleticism he has and the spectacular moves that he does. It's what got him over on the independent scene. This guy can physically do things that the human body should not be capable of doing. He is a very dynamic performer. He is one of a kind. Nobody is doubting that. But when they shove a microphone in your face in WWE and they expect him to speak, he can't talk. He's terrible. At least not with the material that they're giving him. He can't talk. Now, maybe going heel and having somebody do most of the talking for him wouldn't be such a bad idea. But if you were ever going to do a new nation, you've got to bring in some youth or it just doesn't work. Now, later in the show, they showed Simmons again. This time he was chatting with the Viking Raiders. And again, we could barely hear what they were talking about, but I heard him mention the Street Profits. Ford and Dawkins could be the youth in a group like that, but yeah, they don't need that. The Street Profits are fine on their own. That's why I keep coming back to Cedric and to Ricochet. I feel like they could benefit more, but the question, as is always the case when it comes to WWE, and this is the mistake that people make, and I make the same mistake sometimes. Here's the mistake that we all make. The question is not who can benefit more. Let's look at this roster. Who would benefit? Who would benefit the most from a spot like this? That's not the question. The question is who do they really want to push? Because Ricochet and Cedric Alexander may benefit more from a spot like that, but if WWE doesn't really give a shit about them and doesn't have big plans for them, like no big plans to really push them, then it's not going to be them. It's going to be their own hand-picked team or person who they want to push. It's like the whole Daniel Bryan thing at the Royal Rumble back in 2014. Who could have benefited the most from a Rumble win that year? Daniel Bryan. Who's the guy the company wanted to actually push in that spot? Dave Bautista. So it's two different questions, two very different answers. MVP is still claiming to be the new United States champion, when in fact he is not. When Apollo Crews comes back from whatever is keeping him at home, he will have the old U.S. belt, and he'll have to beat MVP, I guess, to crown the real U.S. champion. The only question is, does he keep the new belt or does he stick with the old one? I'm starting to wonder if they're going to keep that new belt around, or if the only point in using it was just, it's like MVP's personal belt, and then they're just going to go back to the old one. I don't know. I'm no longer convinced that that's going to end up being the new U.S. belt. Ricochet and Alexander challenged MVP, Lashley and Benjamin with their partner, Mustafa Ali. Back on WWE television for the first time since last December. If you can believe that. He wasn't hurt. He wasn't injured. He wasn't suspended. He wasn't on a cruise around the world with his wife. They just didn't have anything for him. 7 months on the sidelines. What did Eric Young say? The system is broken? Yeah, I think so. The hacker stuff on SmackDown, which I still think would have been him, that was dropped a number of weeks ago. And then Ali was very quietly moved on the website from the SmackDown page to the Raw page, and this was his big return. And it's one thing for Eric Young to call their system broken because they can't find 5 minutes for him on their TV show, on their 3-hour television show. No, you know what? The system is broken when you can't find something for Mustafa Ali to do on TV. For 7 months. Guy comes out, he looks like a video game character with that mask, that cool, light up mask and everything. You can't find anything for this guy to do 7 months on the shelf for no reason. That's when you know your system is broken. Ali got the win for his team, 450 on MVP to end it. Interesting to note, make of this what you will, but out of all of the Raw clips that WWE posted this week to its YouTube channel, including the unsanctioned match, they had a whole clip of the unsanctioned match between Randy Orton and The Big Show, their big main event that they promoted all week long with their two big names, two future Hall of Famers. None of those clips, none of those videos had as many views as the clip of Mustafa Ali's return. 1.6 million views for Mustafa Ali's return. The clip of Ali's return equaled the total number of viewers who watched Monday Night Raw this week. Orton and Big Show, last I checked, had 1.1 million.